You know, every new medicine we have, whether it's a painkiller or a groundbreaking cancer treatment, has to go through an incredibly intense testing process. And at the very core of that process, clinical trials. That's where real people, actual volunteers, step up to help push science forward. But that brings up a huge question. In such a high-stakes world, who's looking out for them? Who keeps them safe? Let's dive in.
And really, this is the fundamental question, isn't it? It's this incredibly delicate balancing act. On one hand, you have this urgent, desperate need for new cures and treatments. But on the other, you have an absolute, non-negotiable duty to protect the people who make that progress possible. This is the great ethical challenge at the heart of all clinical research.
So how do we solve it? Well, the answer isn't just one person or one simple rulebook. It's a whole system, a really smart, collaborative, multi-layered network of checks and balances. Think of it like a team of specialists, all working together on this one incredibly high-stakes mission.
Okay, so this system, it's really built around 4 key players. We're going to call them the guardians of the trial. Each one has a totally distinct and absolutely critical role to play in making sure every single trial is run safely and ethically. So let's meet them.
First up, we've got the primary line of defense. This is the Institutional Review Board, or IRB. You might also hear it called an Independent Ethics Committee, or IEC. The best way to think of them? They're the trial's ethical watchdog. Now, the most important word in that whole definition is independent. This isn't a group from the research team. No. The IRB is made up of a really diverse group. You've got doctors, scientists, ethicists, and even people from the local community who have zero connection to the study. Their one and only job is to be a completely impartial advocate for the trial participants. And their work really happens in 3 big stages. First, before a trial can even think about starting, they do a deep, rigorous review of the entire plan, the protocol. Then, they go over the consent forms with a fine-tooth comb to make sure every single potential risk is spelled out in plain language. But their job isn't done there. They keep watching, monitoring the study the whole way through.
So let's make this real for a second. Imagine a trial for a powerful new antibiotic is underway. But then, troubling reports start trickling in. Some of the participants are having some really dangerous and totally unexpected side effects.
And the data is just alarming. A full 12% of the people in the group actually getting the new drug are showing signs of severe liver damage. That is a massive red flag. It's a critical safety signal that demands action, like right now.
And this is where you see the IRB's real power. They step in and immediately put a stop to anyone new joining the trial. Then, they go back to the researchers and demand they change the protocol. In this case, they made them lower the dose. And finally, they require that every single person still in the study be told about this new risk. This is what real-time protection looks like.
So, the IRB is kind of like the air traffic controller setting the rules from above. But who's actually flying the plane? That brings us to our next guardian, the investigator. This is the on-the-ground captain steering the ship right at the clinical site. The investigator, you'll often hear them called the principal investigator, or PI, is the leader of the research team at the actual hospital or clinic. They are directly responsible for running the trial day to day and, most importantly, for the safety and well-being of every single person under their care.
And believe me, their to-do list is huge. They're in charge of leading the team, making sure patients are safe, getting that informed consent, managing the actual experimental drug, and making sure all the data they collect is squeaky clean. And here's the thing, they can delegate tasks, sure, but the buck always stops with them. The ultimate responsibility is theirs.
Okay, so imagine this scenario. In a trial for a new UTI drug, a patient who has no history of kidney problems at all suddenly develops severe acute kidney failure. This is a potential crisis, and the investigator is right there on the front line.
So what happens next is absolutely critical, and it's on the clock. The investigator has to immediately assess the situation and report it as a serious adverse event to the sponsor, and they have to do it within 24 hours. That super fast communication is the vital link that keeps the whole safety net connected and working.
And where does that urgent report go? It goes straight to our third guardian, the sponsor. So, if the investigator is the captain on site, you can think of the sponsor as the mission director, overseeing the whole operation from headquarters.
The sponsor is the big picture organization. It's usually a pharmaceutical company, maybe a university, or even a government agency. They're the ones who kick off the trial, manage it, and pay for it all.
Ultimately, they are accountable for everything.
Now, you might look at this and think the sponsor's main job is just cutting the checks, right? But check this out. 40% of their responsibility is dedicated to quality and risk management. That's more than anything else. It just goes to show you, making sure the trial is safe and the results are solid isn't just an ethical duty for them, it is their #1 job.
All right, our final guardian is a little different. It isn't a person or a committee. It's the system that protects the trial's most precious asset. It's data. This is data governance, the official keeper of the record, making sure the truth is preserved.
I mean, think about it. Data is the absolute lifeblood of a clinical trial. It's the only thing that can prove if a new medicine actually works. So data governance is this strict set of rules and procedures that makes sure all that data is accurate, it's secure, and it's trustworthy, so that the final story it tells is the true one.
And it really has a dual mission, two sides of the same coin. For the people in the trial, it is all about protecting their privacy and keeping their personal info completely confidential. And for the science of the study, it's about guaranteeing that the data is solid, that it has integrity, accuracy, and reliability. You just can't have a valid trial without both of those pieces.
So after all that, what's the big picture here? It's that no single person is the lone hero of patient safety. It's the system itself. It's this team of guardians, all working together, that allows medical science to take these incredible leaps forward while keeping the people who make it possible safe.
So, we've met our 4 guardians, right? The IRB, the investigator to sponsor, and the whole system of data governance. We see how their roles are different but fit together perfectly. And of course, a successful trial also needs the active partnership of patients and communities. But the one single thread that ties all of this together is that protecting participants is and must always be priority #1.
And I really just want to leave you with this quote, because it says it all perfectly. Protecting the rights and welfare of participants is a central priority that must be respected and promoted by everyone involved in the research process. You know, that's not just a rule in a book. It's the fundamental principle that all ethical medical progress is built on.